Welcome to NDCBF Marriage Ministry Video Series. This video was recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Frank McCall, and this is my beautiful wife, Cherise. And we are with the Marriage Ministry NDCBF.
Today's episode is titled The Secrets of a Godly Marriage, and we'd like to welcome our first couple, the Buchanans, Robert and Goldie. I'm glad you're here, and we have a question or two for you. The first one I'd like to ask is, how did you all meet, and how long have you been married?
My husband does a better job of telling that story.
Okay.
I was discharged from the military in 1970, and Goldie's sister lived up the street from us. Before I even met her, I knew her and her husband. So when I got home, I kind of kicked around a little bit, and I said, let me go down to the street and say hi to Cecil, which was her sister. All of a sudden, I saw her walking toward my house with a little boy. She looked like she was about 13, 14 years old. I'm serious, and I said, I don't mess with jailbait. So I went down, talked to Cecil, and I went back home. The next day, I went back again, and I asked Cecil, who is that your little baby sister? I said, yes. And I said, how old is she? About 14? Oh, boy, she's 18. I said, oh. Went home, got my clothes together, went back down, and started talking to her. And that's when we first met. We broke off for a year, and then we got back together. And she's been an apple in my eye ever since. We've known each other 49 years. We've been married 46.
Wow.
And when I came out of the military, I was looking for a wife. Absolutely looking for a wife. And when I spotted her, I said, this is the one. She was perfect for what I wanted.
Wow.
At least at the beginning.
That's amazing, amazing. So she passed you by the first time.
I passed her by because I thought she was a little girl. You know, in them days, 70, you didn't mess around with underage girls. But she looked so young and thin, and I thought she was young. And then I found out she was 18, and I was like 20. I thought, oh man, this is pretty. So I went and we started talking, and we had a lot in common. She said she always wanted to marry a tall man and a clean man. The military made me clean. I was always neat. I always had my hair neat. And so that was 49 years ago. We're still going strong.
That's awesome.
Through a lot of struggles and ups and downs, but we're still together.
And what would you say, what has kept you going strong for this long? Your marriage going strong for this long?
Well, both we definitely have to say Christ, because shortly after we were married, probably 4 years later, both of us came to know Christ. Well, I came to know Christ first, and then my husband came to know Christ. And basically, that was a turning point in our marriage. I came from a very large family. He comes from a small family. So my parents lived basically, they were married for almost 60-something years. And his father died at a very young age of 35. So we had a lot of differences in how we were growing up. I'm from a huge family. First of all, when he started coming to the family gatherings, it was overwhelming to him. And he would stay for 4 or 5 minutes. He said, I'll see you later when you get home. Because we got 10 conversations going at the same time. It's 8 girls and 3 boys in my family. So we could have 6 conversations at one time about different subjects. And that was driving him crazy. And so he finally learned to love. My family loved him. And so, but we got to say that Christ coming into our life was the turning point within our marriage.
And then all the marriage classes we attended at Baldwin Hills, we had mentors. I learned so much because my dad died so young. I really didn't know what a husband was supposed to do. All the thing I knew was he loved my mom, and he was always home. And, took care of the house. He took care of my mom, and that's all I remember about my father. But it was enough for me to build a foundation on. And so when we got married, that church saved us. Not only salvation-wise, but it taught us how to be married. And we had great examples of men that I honed into, and we started doing a marriage class at our house. And we invited couples over. So marriage ministry has framed our marriage. Marriage ministry, that's why God called us, because it's so important.
Right.
I mean, tell you, if we went to of changes. She had a great foundation, I didn't. So with the marriage class, we honed it together, and we've been doing fine. We've had some ups and downs, like all marriages. Any marriage say they haven't is not telling the truth.
Right. You know, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I was going to ask, how would you say you have overcome conflict in your marriage, considering the differences in your background and how you came up? How do you overcome the conflicts that you face in your marriage?
I think that the kinds of programs that we listened to, besides what we were learning at church, we got into listening at strong pastors that marriage was their ministry. And we learned a lot of things about marriage that we could not have learned from our parents, because our parents didn't know it at that point. But I think we started to learn how to handle conflict just from listening at their principles that they were giving as to how do marriages overcome struggles. Now, if we had sacred marriage back then, but what we just finished in our marriage class, we probably would have been even that much stronger. But because we didn't know the fact that how closely tied marriage was to our relationship with Christ, and that it's about glorifying God. It's not about making us happy, comfortable, satisfied, loneliness, none of that. It's all about Christ, to glorify His name.
And one other thing we learned, we made this vow when we first got married, that I don't care how things got, we weren't going to divorce. We were never going to divorce. Right. And it got to the point sometimes where you think to yourself, well, I'm still with this lady, But our purpose was to be committed. Love is an emotion. You can love somebody today and be ready to slap them tomorrow. But commitment said, I ain't going nowhere. Yeah. I'm going to hang in there. And we never talked about divorce. Never. And we went through some changes where we ain't had a drop of food in our house. Didn't have no gas in my car. Yet we didn't let it destroy us.
And we weren't even saved when we decided that we were not going to talk about divorce, ever.
That's good. I hear a lot. And how much did you help, you all help Christ in your everyday journey towards being married, in your everyday life?
He's the breath in our lungs. He's our very being in existence, is we exist to glorify Him. And thankfully, my husband came to Christ after I came to Christ. It was shortly after, about 2 years, he came to Christ. And so we could basically struggle together rather than against each other, because we both knew, because of the marriage classes, what our roles were. See, that was the most important thing that I feel like we learned early on in our marriage. What is my purpose and what is his purpose? What are our God-given roles within the marriage? And that helped tremendously, because then I knew I'm not supposed to be in charge of things. He is. And, I allow him space for that, all the time. Yeah. So
that's key.
That's very key. And the respect factor. We had 3 boys. And so I had to stand to the side a lot to let my husband be the man, to teach them how to be men. I taught them how to be compassionate and, that kind of things. But he taught them how to be men. And there were times when I was like, I wanted to say something, but he was tough on them. Yeah. And as a result, they are 3 very wonderful young men, and basically know who they are, and in Christ, they're all 3 saved, thank God.
Praise Jesus.
Yeah. So, but I just know that knowing the roles is really key. It's great key.
So with that, let me just to follow up on that a little bit. So let me ask you this question. So you said, you had to stand back and let him be the man to teach those. So was that something you all did when you went to premarital class, or before you got married, discuss who gonna do different roles or who gonna do certain things, or just as growing together as one, that was?
We learned that. We learned that in our marriage ministry, and as well as from, we listened to people like Dr. Dawson. He's a Christian psychologist. He was always talking about all those different things in the Bible, and we learned it in our marriage classes at church, that the man is meant to be the leader of the household. The whole analogy of the umbrella, God, the man, his wife and family under that, and everybody else falls under that. So. And
I want to be responsible to make men out of my sons. I was in the military. Before I went in there, I was disciplined, but the military taught me, when you got an order, you complete it to kill. Yes. So I was hard on my boys. Matter of fact, a lot of her family and some of my family would say, Robert, so hard on his boy, you're hard on his boy. Now they say, you need to be like Robert's boy. Not that I'm bragging, but I didn't take a lot off of them. I wasn't there to be a friend. I was their father.
Yeah.
And you talk to them now, I thought I really hurt them. Now they joke about it. Remember Dad took that shoe and threw it at me? And they understand. My older son said, Dad, thank you. And let me tell you, that boy put all this on me. Okay, my hair used to be your color, baby. And so he put a lot on it, but he said, Dad, thank you for the way you raised. I was tough on him, girl. I'm telling you, today I'd be doing 5 to 10 for some of the things I did. I actually put my hands on them.
Yeah.
And but I put them on a way that they understood that I was trying to make them men. And the greatest reward I received, my daughter-in-law told me, thank you for these sons that you gave, this husband you gave me.
That's good.
You know, that is such an awesome testimony, and it's something that I know a lot of couples can identify with when you're raising children together. There, you go through obstacles. Sometimes I wonder how people do it without Christ. I really do. I know there are so many couples who, whether they would admit it or not, are going through. They're struggling, they have issues. Do you have any advice or words of encouragement that you would give a couple that's struggling right now, that's wondering how they're going to make it? What advice would you give them or encouragement?
My first inclination to that question is, do they know Christ? If they're believers, then my advice would be, this is an opportunity for you to grow closer to God. If you're having a struggle in your marriage, you need to find a mentor, if you can. Find a mature woman in the church that you can mentor under. Secondly, you need to be on your knees to the Lord. You need to be honing and enriching your relationship with God so He can give you wisdom and discernment as you're going through the struggle, because the struggle is there for a purpose. Struggle never comes anywhere if you're a believer without a purpose.
Absolutely.
God is talking to you through that struggle. And so, I always encourage married people to basically focus on their intimacy with God, individually and collectively. And the only way you're going to make it through that struggle is that you got to have the Lord in the midst of it.
Yeah.
Because we can't do it by ourselves.
No.
And I would say that the Bible says a man has a good wife, find a good thing. I didn't realize how great my wife was to me until I got sick. I mean, this girl took care of me. She did things even nurses don't get paid to do, okay? And she was there by my side, and then many times I lay in that bed and I said, God, thank you. I didn't have to say a word. The doctors didn't even talk to me. They go straight over to her. Well, Mr. Buchanan, we're gonna give him this. I'm gonna take the drugs. What you talking to her for? But she looked after me. And that's when it really dawned on me. What a great woman I got. Because a lot of people get married, and they're married, but they're not intimate. They don't take care of each other. They don't care about each other's physical conditions. So that really honed it out. Now, I don't want anybody to get the impression that we have a perfect marriage. We have a good marriage, but it took a lot of work.
Right. Would you say there's anyone that has a perfect marriage?
I hope I don't need them, because then
It's
I'm
one
in
of those
heaven.
myths.
No perfect people, no perfect marriage.
No.
Yeah.
We still have our struggles. As I was telling someone in class, we've been married all these years, but we learn different things. Every season, we're going through a season now. And my wife always said, Robert, you're in a different season. You can't kiss me all the time. I said,
They don't see it.
but we are going through season. We're in an empty nest. And it tells, if you're not doing anything together when you're children, don't wait till the empty nest, because y'all gonna look at each other like two strangers.
Yeah.
You figure out what you're doing. You do it while you have your children. So when they're gone, you say, just like the commercial where the guy tore up his son's room and put a TV in there,
Yes,
because he
sir.
wasn't coming back.
Right.
That's how you have to do it.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Yeah, figure out what to do.
Right.
Our kids say, y'all are so boring. How do y'all do it? Goldie goes in our office and I do my little study, and then we get together and talk and eat. Our lives are very boring, but that's the way we want it. We were in Montserrat. I went into service at Goldie. I went to school. I did all that. Raised them 3 boys in Watts. Now you have to understand, Watts, California is rough. To keep my sons out of trouble. As a matter of fact, one of my sons applied for the Los Angeles Police Department, and he passed everything, but they could not believe that their father lived in Watts, all his life and never been in jail.
Wow.
5 men in Watts, 4 have been in jail.
Jail, yeah.
But I did that purposely because my father, I was scared of him. I was more scared of him than I was jail. So it took a lot of work, and it paid off. I have 3 great sons, not perfect, but they're good sons, and they obeyed. And my greatest reward is that I have communication with all of them. I can talk to my boys all the
That's
time.
good.
Ooh, God.
And I think that's a blessing.
Yeah, that's a testament to the grace of
And
God.
just to piggyback on a little of what he said, that couples ought to understand that they don't build their marriage around their children.
That's right.
Your marriage is to be built around the 2 of you, because those kids are gonna grow up one day and leave you.
Mhm.
So you're not building your marriage based on your children, you build your marriage based on each other and what God said that you ought to be doing. And the kids are, just an extra added favor of God.
Sometimes it's not a bonus.
It's not a bonus, but they're gifts from God.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so that's where a lot of people think that when the kids come along, they start focusing all the attention on the kids and they forget about each other.
Right.
And that's not good.
And I prepared my sons to leave.
Dad.
They used to ask me, Dad, why is the front door always open? It's cold outside. I said, it was home, y'all going out that door as soon as you get old enough. And all of them worked at 16, except one, and all of them were gone by the time they were in their 20s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You know,
I found them some wives.
All
I
right,
like to
married.
tell couples that are married that don't have children yet, I think it's important for them to know, and you can tell me if you agree, that they're already a family. Once you've gotten married, you become family. And so I think that there's this, another myth,
Right.
that once you get married and then have kids, that's
Then
when
you're
you're a
family.
family.
No.
And that's just not the case.
Mm-mm.
Not the case.
Yeah. One of the greatest thrills we have is that sodas and ice cream spoil in our refrigerator now. Because I ain't got them boys eating all over that. And so we were a family, like you said before, we had children. And we're even a closer family now. Because it's just me and her. If we couldn't communicate, if we could not cohabitate in the house together, we'd be in serious trouble.
Absolutely.
When we moved to Texas, didn't know nobody but my son and his 5 grandkids that live about 20 minutes from us. So we had to get along.
Yeah.
We had to get along.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing today.
Pleasure to be here.
It's been a real pleasure talking with you, and we'll continue to pray for you. We thank you for the example you set.
Yes. And I know it's late in the boat. How many years you all been married?
46.
And I heard you say you still learning
Oh
each
yeah.
other and still going through seasons.
Oh yeah.
So that's key, you still learning
Yeah,
each other.
And we're lifelong learners.
There you go.
And then I had to come to the point that my wife has certain skills. I know at a church we were before, if she was up there teaching as much as she do when I'm with her, they would have a problem with her. I told them, I don't have a problem. My wife is very talented, and it'll be less manly of me to put my foot on her because I'm the man. We work good together because we know each other's strength. Okay? And my wife is really good at what she does. I can ask her to write a note, and she'll write an 8-page essay. And I say, baby, all I do is she takes everything to another level, and I've gotten used to that. So I don't ask her to write nothing for me.
Thank you so much, Robert and Goldie, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
We will be
Thanks for the biggest contribution.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us. We'll be back shortly with our next call.